Welcome to another Q&A here on Unleash Love. My name is Clément and I'm the host of Unleash Love. I want to talk about something today that most people have trouble with at some point in their lives. It's the topic of commitment. It's the topic of, should I start something with someone? I'm scared. I don't know whether it's going to work out. And it stops people from having beautiful relationships that would many times flourish and become marriages or families or however you want to look at that, but like a long-term kind of arrangement, right? And that's what a lot of us are in this life to experience. We want to share our lives with someone else, and we want to have that kind of commitment and that kind of dynamic with someone. We want to be able to share, and it's so powerful and so beautiful, and most people get it. So what happens? What happens when someone doesn't want to get involved on that level with another person that they are very attracted to, that they like, that they feel good around? What's the big hang-up? Well, fear. Fear is essentially one of the main drivers of not committing. There could be other reasons too, like, for example, maybe your values don't align completely and you sense that there's danger further down the road and you'd rather not. It's more of a logical decision, and those are a lot less rare, but they're important and they need to happen nonetheless. Fear, you could argue that fear is something that keeps us from getting in trouble, and yes, that's true. But what I'm referring to is the paralyzing fear of repeating past mistakes. What that means is you don't want to go through a breakup like you went through before. You don't want to be in a position where you feel vulnerable and compromised and abused, perhaps. Maybe the relationship had some terrifying moments and you got out of something that was incredibly violent or just unhealthy and toxic. The value of being able to look back at the history and say, okay, I'm not going to make those mistakes anymore, is understated. It means that we definitely do need to do more of looking backwards and kind of trying to figure out what went wrong so that we don't repeat those mistakes. But what happens often is we look back at the history that we have with other kinds of people, right? Everyone's unique. And we kind of project how we feel about those relationships onto the people that we're meeting today or that we might meet in the future. There are obviously issues with this. You're already removing the uniqueness of that person and you're putting the familiarity of someone else in their position. And no one likes to be compared. No one likes to be judged or treated as if they're not their own person and they can't make their own decisions and that they're not good inherently, right? So that's already a problem. That's already one of the reasons why fear of getting into something with someone based on past experiences is not healthy. And two, you will not really know if it was going to work out or not unless you give it a try. Now, that's not to say you should just jump in head first with anyone you meet. That's not what I'm saying. I'm actually saying you definitely need to be a little bit more cautious about how you think of your history if you're going to allow it to dictate your present moment and your future, okay? Because what might happen is you're throwing out the window many experiences that are beautiful and valuable and you will cherish for the rest of your life and maybe even share with that person for the rest of their life too, if you let fear overcome you and stop you from getting into it. It's the same thing that you could argue as when you go up to someone and you tell them that you like them, right? It's the same kind of fear. It's rejection, it's failure, it's maybe even fear of the unknown, right? Maybe you're the kind of person that likes to live in their comfort zone, which is understandable, but there's not room for growth there. Okay, there's no room for new experiences there. Everything is familiar. Everything is recognized. It's the same. It's boring. It's not conducive to having a quality life, right? A life that's full of experiences and newness and learning and all of those good stuff. So what I'm trying to say is, if you find yourself in a situation where you're really getting along with someone, you really like them, but you're just a little unsure whether or not you should get involved because who knows, right? Maybe you had a bad experience. Or maybe you just don't think you're good enough. Maybe you've been damaged. Maybe someone told you that you're dissatisfactory, or they showed you through their actions, and you don't want to have that happen to you again. I'm explaining that you'll never know unless you try. So recognize that there's only one life. We're all gonna die, right? We don't know when, and you don't want to be on your deathbed regretting not making that choice, not speaking to that person, not trusting in them and trusting in yourself that you can actually build something that's worthwhile. Okay, wear your heart on your sleeve, but keep your expectations, taper your expectations, and try harder every time to recognize that, you know, there's failure in everything, and failure is not a bad thing. Failure teaches us, failure guides us, it allows us to grow, and everybody is going to fail, right? It's just a question of how we deal with that failure, okay? But the flip side is there's so much beauty behind failure. There's so much beauty beside failure, right? Depending on how you want to look at it. They go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, right? Everyone, you might have heard this before, people talk about relationships being difficult. They're not easy. They never have been and they never will be, because when you put two people together and you try to get them to agree on everything, it's impossible. You can't agree with someone on everything because you're inherently different. You have different thoughts, you have different beliefs, you have different ways of handling situations. So there's going to be a lot of that, all right? And I want to save you the suspense there, and I want to already point out that failure is going to be a very big part of any relationship that you have with anyone. So, you know, it's easy to think that we can craft, or we need to craft something special. Maybe not special is the right word. Craft something perfect. We all, you know, we're perfectionists. Okay, today in this age of social media, with all of this fakery going on, and, you know, people claiming to have such beautiful, amazing lives with no imperfections whatsoever, we're easily led to believe that perfection is attainable, but it's not. It's a lie. It's a lie. And there's beauty, like I said, there's beauty in the failure, right? There's beauty in the imperfections. And I don't think you would have it any other way. When you finally realize that maybe you're just running away from a version of your past or a version of yourself that you don't trust, that you haven't come to terms with, you haven't accepted, you haven't thought about it enough to really kind of reconcile those emotions. Once you realize that, and put yourself in a situation where you're confident enough to weather the failure of relationships, you will find it difficult to commit. So try to recognize where your hang-ups are, what you're really thinking about when you're thinking of when the fear happens, when it comes about. Like maybe you're trying to imagine what it would be like to be with that person, and you know, you just overcome with this urge to procrastinate or think about something else, or move away from them. Try to assess, where does that come from? What's causing that? And then focus your intention and your effort on those thoughts, because they will reveal to you where you're compromised. And maybe with the help of a therapist or friends or some confidant, you can come full circle, and you can use that to make yourself stronger and more confident, so that, you know, when you're in the same position and you're in the same situation, you don't feel that need to run away. You're more welcoming and open-minded to it. And I've kind of rambled on about this, and I've probably given more information than's necessary, but I hope that this helps you. I hope that maybe rings true to some people watching this video. There'll be more Q&As like this. But if you want to know any answers to the questions that you have, please submit them, please comment, please get in touch with us, let us know. Be more than happy to cover those. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.